how much kidnappers are looking for victims.
My thing is, government should, I think all the stakeholders in that get that, and I think we get that. The 3% for the oil producing community is too low.
So the support that is needed, and once you get the support, your airline people will blossom.
This is Nigeria. You need to give people sense of belonging.
Thank God it's Friday. Good morning and welcome to Leadership Podcast Studio Inside Nigeria's program. My name is Tion Joseph, and this morning I'll be leading you through major stories from 5 different Nigerian newspapers. I'd like to start with Nigeria's most influential newspaper, which is the Leadership. And now on Leadership this morning, the story we were greeted yesterday of Queen Elizabeth's demise, and that is what we have on our major story today. It says, by Elizabeth, after 70 years of the throne, Britain's longest-serving monarch dies at 96. We can find the full story on page 4. Furthermore, down there's a quote from Charles, the King, saying, the death of my beloved mother, Her Majesty the Queen, is a moment of the greatest sadness for me. All members of my family, Charles mourns as he is named king. Down there, Buhari Trust, Biden, other world leaders mourn. Also moving down, says British society faces major changes. Other stories on the Queen says how the Queen saved my life, Professor Badejo. And the very last point on Leadership this morning says life and times of the Queen. That is all we have on Friday edition of the Leadership newspaper. Let's move to the next Nigerian daily, which is The Guardian. And on The Guardian, the story is similar. It says, the Queen dies, long live the King. You should read more of the stories on pages 4 and 5. We also have a story that says, PDP, Ayu survives as NEC passes confidence vote. Wike defiant. Let's move to the next Nigerian daily. And the next one we'll be looking at this morning will be the Vanguard. And on the Vanguard this morning, it says, PDP crisis, Governor Wike kicks as Ayu survives. Let's take full bullets down there before we move to the next paper. The first one says Jibrin's resignation of no effect. Next one says, review what Ayu Atiku told him over state of party. And the last one will be taken on Vanguard this morning, says BOT chairman Jibrin out, Wabara in. That is all we'll be taken on the Vanguard this morning. Let's move to the next Nigerian daily, which is The Punch. And on The Punch, this morning story is also similar, paying tribute to Queen Elizabeth. It says, Queen Elizabeth's death at 96. World leaders pay tributes. Britain mourns. Charles becomes king. And we can find our story on pages 2 and 25. That is all we are taking for Punch. Let's move briskly to the next paper, which is The Nation. And on The Nation this morning, it says, PDP crisis. Ayu, not Jibrin, should resign, says Wike. And the first bullet over there says PDP neck passes vote of confidence in chairman. The next bullet says, I resign in party's interest, says BOT chair. And the very last bullet on The Nation this morning says, Wabara replaces Jibrin. That is all we have on The Nation this morning. And the very next, which is this day, says, the Queen is dead, aged 96. Buhari, world leaders pay tributes to Queen of all seasons. That is all we have on this day. Let's move briskly to the next paper of today, which is the very last paper we'll be taking on the show this morning before we hand over for full panel discussion by Winifred. So the major story on the Daily Independent says, Yochi Ayu survives plot to oust him from office. There are 4 bullets there. We'll take only 2. We'll leave the 2 for the panel discussion. The first one says, NEC passes vote of confidence in party's national chairman, gives NWC power to populate presidential campaign council. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on the show this morning. Don't go just yet, because the best is yet to come. Winifred and her guests will be handling the panel discussion, which will be shedding more light on these points and even much more. On this note, Thank you for joining us. Please come again 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. My name is Tion Joseph, and do have a great weekend ahead. Thank you.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
Okay, you want the first name?
You want to start?
Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
Good morning. This is Inside Nigeria, reaching you on Leadership Television. This is Friday edition, the last edition for the week of September. My name is Winifred Ubebo, and with me in the studio is a guest. The first time you are seeing him in the studio, and his name is Adefolarin Olamilekun. He's a guest analyst. He's going to be analyzing and throwing issues on the issue we have for discussion today. Thank you for joining in.
Good morning, ma, and good morning to the audience on there.
Thank you so much. We are going to be looking at the presidential campaigns that is flagging up on the 28th of September. That is talking about this month. Exactly. The INEC, Independent National Electoral Commission, has just announced that the campaigns will be lifted, will be flagged up on the 28th of this month. And before this time, we've seen some presidential hopefuls, candidates of various parties already, showing their weight, exactly, trying to make their presence felt in the discourse, public discourse. So I want to ask you, so what are the issues at stake? What are the electors, that is the voters, going to be looking at for? What should be the issues for campaign this time? Remember in 2015, that is 2015, 2019, the issues were on security and corruption. So what are going to be the issues for discussion, for campaign this time around?
The issue have not really changed because we are still struggling with the security, we are still struggling with the economy, we are still struggling with corruption. Okay. And added to it now is the issue of education, issue of health, and issue of infrastructure. That
Everything
is are the
has
major things that are
yeah.
going to shape the direction of which any of the candidates have to tune up, and which voters also have to analyze and say, okay, how will you be able to do it? And that will be the question that voters will be asking.
How are you going to be doing it? But the other time Nigerians were tired of the last administration. They said they wanted change. Remember, change was the slogan for
Exactly.
APC. They said they are bringing in change, that the security situation has worsened over time, and they were going to curb security issues and also corruption, which is endemic in our politics. But 8 years down the line, would you say that there has been, an improvement in security and corruption issues?
If you look at the level of insecurity in Nigeria, you look at the level of economic woes we have experienced, you look at the decay in our infrastructure, in health, in education, it's still enormous. Nobody can quantify it. Even though in the last 8 years, the present APC will claim that they have done their bit, but the bit they have done is not enough to be able to clear the August table of the numerous challenges that we have in the country. For me, it's not an 8 years thing, it's not a 10 years thing that we can be able to clear the August table of all the challenges that we have. It's going to take a long time. But the best is for them to be able to address it easily, gradually, in a way that people can feel it. Take, for instance, the issue of security. We still complain about insecurity in the country. Talk about economy. We are still talking about the economic situation. So it's not an issue that can just go away like that. It's going to take a very deep-rooted, progressive, proactive policy to get it out of the way.
Now, with what Nigeria is currently facing, Nigerians are currently facing and contending with, talking about, apart from insecurity that I just mentioned, we're also having the problem of economic situation.
Exactly.
Now, Naira is on the free fall. We also have debt overhang. We can't even have enough revenue to service our debts.
Exactly.
We are also having a situation whereby economic Naira and petrol subsidy. Petrol subsidy cease to exist in the next administration. So, how are the politicians, the presidential candidates, how are they going to come up with solutions? Do you think they would let the electorate should just take, oh, I'm going to change the economy, I'm going to do this? And talking about electricity too, we are still talking about economy. You discover that even the megawatts that we have, the last administration left it at 4,000 and nothing was added to it as we speak in almost 8 years down the line. So what are going to be the issues apart from now? You just talked about security and all those stuff. Talking about economy.
I think for me, all the three leading candidates and other candidates that are available contesting for 2023 presidential election will have to sit tight and sit up, because the issue of economy is not just come up and say, I'm going to make us a productive nation. I'm going to make sure that we go into farming and expand our agriculture. No, it's going to take a very, as I said earlier, deep-rooted, proactive, pragmatic policies that will be very, very disciplined in terms of implementation. Take, for instance, the foundation have to be electricity. We must tackle electricity. Electricity will help us to have a linkage to our manufacturing and productive sector. Also a linkage to agriculture, in the sense that whatever we produce from agriculture can now be turned to finished goods, whereby it now be manufactured to complementary materials and also for feeding our people. Then electricity will also link up to help us to reduce import, whereby as our manufacturings are working, our importation will reduce. Then we can now make use of locally produced goods. Then also electricity will help us to be able to spend little on forex, because you're talking about Naira is dwindling. The issue, because there is too much Naira chasing dollar. That's why we have a lot of dollar that is very few in the market. That's why CBN will tell you it's about supply and demand. The demand is more than the supply that we have. And again, the PMS issue still goes to electricity. How can we power our refineries? We have 4 of them. One is undergoing refurbishment now. How can we make sure the remaining 3 also get refurbished? These are the issues that the current candidate will have to put out. How are they going to make sure that all this synergy of challenges we have economically can be resolved? I will say it here. It's not for any candidate to come and say, I'm going to do this. But how will you do it? I've just mentioned one key thing that is linking all of them: electricity. If you have 24 hours power supply, everybody in Nigeria will be happy and the economy will work. people will depend on importation. People will now manufacturing of a sector that is closing down because of spending over 40% of their cost on diesel, on another energy source, will not have opportunity to use electricity. But if electricity is not well tackled, the economy will continue to be like that. And if the candidate don't know how to tackle the electricity problem, there's no way they can tackle every other segment of the economy. Are you talking about naira to dollar rate or naira to pounds rate? If you don't tackle electricity challenge, which is the most structural deficit we have in the economy, there's no way you can tackle even agriculture. There's no way you can tackle real estate. There's no way you can tackle every other thing that is linking to economic development.
Thank you so much. Now, the presidential candidates, they are going to come up with their different manifestos on what they are going to do differently to stem the tide of drift aloofness that Nigeria is currently going. So, what about the electorate? Let's look at the electorate that now this time around. Do you think they can be so hoodwinked as they were? They have been. I don't want to say limited to this present administration, because we've had situations whereby, during that 2014, 2015, many Nigerians said, no, they just needed a change. The change APC was offering. And, 2019, they also opted for next level.
Exactly.
APC said. So now, this time around, that they have seen what is on the board, what is happening. Most of these candidates, not most of them, all of them, they come up with flowery speech. They are going to do it. So let's look at the electorates now. What should they look out for?
I think the electorate have a lot of work to do, in a sense that the voters, which are also called voters electorate, and the people generally, they must drop sentiment.
Yes.
That's number one. They must drop their ego of emotion, because as it is now, everybody's angry, everybody's angered. So that emotion drive is there to say, no, this is what we want, this is what this kind of. The thing is that they must listen carefully to the candidate and look at the people who are with the candidate. That's what I normally look at politicians. Who are with the candidate? Who are the people that are going to support the candidate to the time the election will be over? That will make sure that he's still there and form part of the cabinet. Because in Nigeria, one thing about Nigerian politics is this. It's about the recruitment system. How leadership is being recruited into offices.
Yes.
And the way they are being recruited into office also determines how they are going to be, apart from skilled, how they are going to perform. If a leader is recruited through other means, whereby people who have failed in the past are the one championing him.
Yes, like when I said skewed, you see that most of these political candidates, during their primaries, we saw what happened. That it's money actually that nomination as candidates. So that's why it's already flawed.
So and the people that supported them to that point will have to reward, have to be recompensed or compensated one way or the other. Even the candidate that may be saying nobody is contributing, I'm not going to give anything. At the end of the day, people will ask you for something. So the challenge now falls on the electorate or the voter to ask, okay, this person, he says he's going to do this. How do we think?
You said are Nigerians ready to shed,
the sentiment and the emotion. If they don't remove that, they'll be blindfolded with that anger, with that kind of feeling. And at the end of the day, they'll just vote, they'll still fall. And politicians will always be politicians. Either the politicians was yesterday governor, former governor, former minister, they will still be politicians, in a sense that the moment they enter the position of authority, it will be clear on them that what they are thinking is not what they are met on ground. And that's what normally change the narrative, whereby the people who now follow them to the government will now begin to create opportunity for themselves. And that's why the voters will now lose out. A good example is someone that has been planning or praying to be a councillor. After being voted in as a councillor. Now, the next thing that you need to do is to give us borehole. You are not started giving us excuse. And you promise all the entire 12 ward or your 12 areas that make up your ward borehole. You are not giving only 3 borehole. And they ask you, what is the place? There is no money. They are giving any. And they are seeing you with new car. And they are seeing you building houses. And that's what normally happens politicians the moment they find themselves in a position of authority. But we just hope that this can change as we go into 2023.
Yes, and another thing again, thank you so much, Olamilekun, for your thoughts there. Given the situation on ground, I'm always referring to the present reality we have in our country today. Many people are of the opinion that the next administration is not going to have it so easy, considering the myriad of problems that has bedeviled this country for the past how many years now. So, given the situation now, so what do you expect the incoming administration to grapple with? What are the challenges it's going to grapple with?
The challenges are multiple in nature, and they also have sub challenges. If you look at the education sector now, everybody is talking about tertiary education. Nobody is talking about secondary education. Nobody is talking about primary education. They are all having their own different challenges. That is the education side. In the health sector,
and we still have situation whereby some states of the country we still have classrooms. You talked about secondary education.
Exactly.
Classrooms, especially for primary. They don't have dilapidated
at all. They learn under trees and the rest of them.
In this 21st century.
Exactly. So the challenge is this: for whoever is coming in, he must be ready to sacrifice, and he must be disciplined.
But do you think Nigerians will be patient enough?
The thing is on both sides, on Nigerians and on the leaders, and whoever is going to be appointed into a position of authority. We have been shouting that the cost of governance is very expensive. Whoever is coming in should look at that. How can we reduce the cost of governance? How can we, National Assembly, work with the president, work with the Salary and Income Regulatory Commission, Wages and Salary Something Commission? How can we work on this remuneration of political officers? Because one of the things that is making workers, civil servant, public servant, to agitate for more is what is politicians are collecting. If politicians will collect an average salary, nobody will go on strike because of wages. But as long as people are seeing politicians, political officers that collecting bogus salaries, recently the president just approved emolument for travel allowance for public servants, and the highest there is 80,000 for ministers, permanent secretary 70,000, level 17 about 40,000 there, about like that to 10,000 there for the list. Now all this amount and people consider ministers, what are they doing? Meanwhile, the foot soldiers in those civil service are the one carrying out the activities. So now, if you can look at the cost of governance very well and reduce it, Nigerians will be happy. But as I said earlier, the ball in between the person who is going to be the president, the people who are going to work with it, and Nigerians, there must be discipline across board. If that discipline is not there, that to the point that ordinary traffic, we can obey traffic, Nigeria will move forward. But if you cannot obey ordinary traffic, there's no way whatever policy any government will bring come 2023, nobody will obey it. Now, the economy issue. We've been talking about let us buy Nigerian tea. Let us make sure our manufacturing sector work very well for us. Let us buy Nigeria, eat Nigeria. How many people is ready to eat Nigeria, buy Nigeria? That's one of the sacrifices. From the presidency, will the president wear a brocade made in Nigeria, not the one imported? What do I mean by brocade? The agbada, whoever is going, the safari wear, the suit wear, will it be a Nigerian made? Will the textile company in Kaduna make such fabric for that person? Those are the sacrifices we are talking about. Then what about salaries and the rest of them that we're talking about? That can they also say, okay, as coming as a president, I want my salary to be reduced to an average salary of 500,000 monthly. The National Assembly members, the same thing. If this cost and discipline can be put in place, Nigerians will be so happy. There will be less agitation under that government, whether strike or allowances to be increased or whatever. But if we continue like that, workers will not be happy, Nigerians will not be happy, and cost of living will arise as a result of poor electricity supply. The first thing for that person is to look out to tackle electricity. If electricity is 24 hours, 72 hours, 24/7, and we have it all through the year for 1 year, the manufacturing sector will produce for us, and Nigerians will less complain about whether they are buying things cheap or they're not buying things cheap. Now, what about cost of food in the market? Can the government work on price control? Whoever is coming, can he strategically work on price control? Can he take away middlemen?
The issue of food, we talk about food prices. It's actually, you are in this country that most farmers cannot go to their farms. They can't have access to their farms due to the activities of terrorists and bandits. So I think if you can deal with the issue of security, you will have.
Definitely, if the security is not, you can't say it's general. You can say, okay, in the north, there's insecurity for farmers. In some part of southwest,
but not is described as
the food basket. But we also have other food baskets around the country that produce food for other things. I know in Abuja, you also. No, what I'm trying to say is that the security, you can say, okay, it is not too generic to put it, but at least the major thing that can drive the economy is the manufacturing. And for the manufacturing to work, is what? Electricity. And the next one is PMS, petrol, where we can now refine our product. Like the last inflation that happened, why the inflation rise to 19.64 we are talking about now, it's a result of scarcity of PMS. You see, PMS is available from now to December. Nigerian inflation will come down. The moment there is scarcity of PMS, get ready for a high inflation. So tackling security is one of the issues. But the major thing for me, which I have discovered as a political economist, is that poor electricity is making companies who are manufacturing in Nigeria to go to other African countries to go and establish. But if we can tackle electricity, it will go a long way to help us to address our manufacturing sector and also help us to address our economy. Especially people that are shouting dollar is going up, naira is falling. If our manufacturing sector locally are producing and they are having complementary product to produce their whatever they produce, nobody will talk about dollar going up again.
Well, viewers, you are still on to Inside Nigeria, reaching you on Leadership Television. We are looking at 2023 preparations for election, and with me in the studio that has been throwing highlights on the issue for discussion is Adefulari Olanileko. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you for having me.
Now, we are still on our topical discussion today. So we are looking at now, since 2011 election, the election that threw up a Goodluck Ebele Jonathan as president of Nigeria, we saw that voting has, since that time up to now, voting has taken a religious and ethnic coloration.
Exactly.
We saw the lines, the
divided
lines. So what are we expecting? And now in this election, we have two major southern candidates and a northern and just one northern. That is, when I say major, we are talking about three visible
exactly.
So how is it going to play out?
It definitely, religion, ethnicity will still play a major factor in the Nigeria election. Nobody can roll down out. Just as I mentioned earlier about sentiment, about emotion, it's always there. But the clear thing about this particular 2023 election is that the votes are going to be divided. It's not going to be one major religion having a chunk of it. It's going to be divided across board. But at the end of the day, a particular region, a particular religion will still get a better voting power, in the sense that if you look at the voting strength, I think I've dropped that now. The North is still having the highest number of people that are registered.
Yes,
There's not of the 96 million of them. So you can also talk about the people who are in North, majority of them are Muslim. Then the Southwest, at least we still have a combination of both Muslim and Christian. Then in the Southeast and South, at least a combination of Christian. But at the end of the day, people who come out to vote determine how the election will go. But religion and ethnicity, we can't rule it out. But the key thing is this in this particular coming election, which I've already told other people or said on other platforms, is this. It is not the religion that will eventually determine the winner, but rather what the winner say that will deliver him and deliver vote for him from especially the youth who are trying as much as possible to participate in this coming election. And that thing that candidate will say boils down to economy. The Jackman syndrome, how are we going to address it? Because addressing the Jackman syndrome is addressing the economy. The people who are lukewarm about the state of the Nigerian economy is what will tell them, that will make sure that they believe that you can do it. Because for me, it is the economy that will determine who is going to be the president of Nigeria. What you think you will do to revive the economy? Because if you don't have any strong policy or program to bring up, or strong discussion to bring up concerning the economy, people will just look at you and say, okay, you are not serious. Because economists still feel insecurity. Because the challenge of insecurity as a result of poor economic infrastructure that we have in the country. If the economy is well tackled, there's no way we will have insecurity. Although we still have some people that will definitely go into crime, not necessarily because they are buoyant or because they are poor. Even in development crime, we see people going into crime. But as a result of majority of people who will not think of going to crime is if they have enough food to eat and if they have opportunity to work and opportunity for you to have employment, the economy will determine who electorate or voters will go for continuity election. Okay, presently, would you say that the presidential candidate, they have ideology that are appealing to the masses? Because we've seen in the past that some of these presidential candidates, they came up with a beautiful ideologies, manifestos of what they are going to do, but immediately they came into power, they jettisoned it. So this time around, do parties still play by ideology? No, they have ideology. Nigerian political ideology, all political parties in Nigeria, ideology is capitalism. But inside the capitalism, majority of them go for new imperialism. We talk about reform. So I see all of them, the major ones, as reformists, just like what we have been experiencing since 1999. The ideology is not as strong as what you think that will change everything. They don't have what I call revolutionary economic ideology. What they have is reformist ideology. Just to come and change names of a particular organization, change the people that are there, then put one or two things they borrowed from World Bank or IMF and put it just to reform the system. But they don't have that concrete ability to say, we want to do this. Just like, say, cost of governance. Can any of them take up cost of governance? It's going to be very difficult because that is where the party feed from.
Yeah. Initially, the current president, did tell us during the campaigns that he was going to change all that. He didn't even say that he was going to lead by example.
Exactly.
That the presidential fleet was even too much. He was going to make reduction. He was going to board economic commercial flights like every other Nigerian. But just like what you said, we see that all that changed.
It will definitely change because
what always happens is that they are snared in by the office when they get there.
The issue is this: there is this periphery of governance. That when you are in position of authority, they will give you details of this, and the more details they give you, the more how convincing they will give you the details. So that's what happens. The moment you find, let's say you are made a chairman of a local government now, they'll be giving you details of how that place operates. Maybe you have the mindset, okay, I'm going to reduce the workforce. I'm going to use a singular. I'm not going to use escort.
Okay, for instance, just like what you said, you talked about governance. You know, this Steve Oronsaye
exactly
white paper report, and up to now, you know, the government they said they were going to implement it, and we just have less than 9 months before the present administration went out, and nothing has been done. And because it's like most times when you talk about reformists, they are afraid to step on toes, because Oronsaye report talked about merging some of these duplicating agencies, MDAs.
Exactly. That's one step of reform.
You talk about governance.
Okay, cost of governance. That one is just one part of reforms. But the next step is to implement, which they normally are afraid of. You know why? Because of backlash from workers. Because if that particular reform is taken at this point in time, although we have discovered that in my own research understanding of that particular thing they want to do, it won't reduce any cost of governance.
Okay, really?
It will rather blow it up again, in the sense that you are merging two organizations. The workforce will still be there. You are not reducing the workforce.
No, I think it's going to, most times, you know, it will downsize workers, because
labor will not allow
by maybe you have an admin staff here, and admin staff one.
Yes.
Definitely two of them cannot make you.
So where will you take the one you are taking? Where will you take it to?
And you know, these are part of the issues that we've been having in the past, that Nigerians may not be able to move forward. You forgot that during Obasanjo's time, during his twilight years, as he was about to leave, he did privatize refineries.
Exactly. He did it, but it was reversed. When
Yar'Adua came in.
And you know what happened to it?
Why is it that we are afraid of reform?
The issue is this: we are not that we are afraid.
Threatening to go on strike.
The issue is not that we are afraid of reforms. As they normally put it, the civil service and the public service is like monsters in the hands of governance. In a sense, to slash it off, you're going to take a revolutionary thinking, because majority of the workforce that are there, where are you going to take them to? Most of them have not reached retirement age. Are you going to pay them off? And to pay them off is going to be huge on the government. So they normally think twice before they do that. Like I said before, why this government will not be able to implement the policies? Because the workers there, as it stands now, the unions are already agitating. They will not allow it to happen. And you know, the party in power doesn't want to lose the election coming. So they also have to be very, very intelligent, very sensitive to it. So they may not want to quickly rush into it. They may leave it open for the next government to take up, and the next government can take it up fine and good, but for them it's going to be very difficult, in the sense that the workers, the unions are ready to take the government on this particular reform. Imagine bringing federal safety under police. Even if you didn't tell the workers there to go and resign, they will not resign, but it's very difficult for the police to manage, the police service commission to manage them, because of where they are coming from. And you talk about two admin officers, coming from here, coming to me. The one that you don't want, where will you take it to? The merging that happened under NNPC, whereby we now have all these agencies coming together, is different from this particular one. And the reason for this particular one is to reduce cost, to reduce personnel cost and procurement cost. Because what is normally happening in Nigeria, the procurement cost even outweigh the personnel cost sometimes, because the procurement cost is the contract they are giving. And if they don't do a particular contract this year, the contractor will say, if it is road construction, you have to review the contract and increase the money. And it's bringing a big cost on the government. Those are the things they want to do, but it's not going to be easy for for the government to do. But I wish they can start, because they want to make Nigerians to accept this particular reform or downsizing workers. Start with the cost on political appointees, from National Assembly to governors to commissioners to ministers, executive. Start from there. Let us reduce what their take home is and give them average salary. When you give Nigerians that confidence that you can start from the top, nobody will accuse you not to start from the below. But we want to start from the below. They will say, okay, what happened to the people at the top? So that's what is happening. So for me, to take on the Oresanya white paper, it's going to be, let us start from the up before we go to the down.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, the campaigns, we are still on parties preparation for election for 2023, and the campaign starts on the 28th of this month. Now, many people have the opinion that, okay, what is a candidate for the ruling party? What and the past administration, PDP, what are they now going to campaign with? Seeing the fact that their policies have brought Nigeria to where it is today.
Exactly. It's not even just the two candidates, including the third one too. What will he campaign with? Because it was part and parcel of the PDP.
Yes, exactly.
Although it was Abga
and he was even a governor too.
Exactly.
So what are they going to campaign with?
Is the three of them? Let's look at it.
That's what I'm saying.
What will the three of them campaign with? Is it security? Is it economy? Is it infrastructure?
In other words, they are going to admit defeat, failure.
They have to.
Sorry. No, I just want you to shed light on
the issue is first and foremost, as I said, they will have to admit that they have failed. Both APC, PDP, including the ones that went and joined Labour Party, they must admit that at this point in time, leadership in Nigeria have failed Nigeria. This is now the time for us to change. Either the one that is saying, I want to reset, the other one is saying, I want to make Nigeria productive, or the other one is saying, I want to make Nigeria to be more, physically responsible. These are the key thing about the three candidates that we're talking about.
Saying.
One thing I want to talk about resetting Nigeria. The other one talk about make Nigeria more productive. The other one talk about make Nigeria to be physically responsible. That's the physical federalism. Now they must all admit that they have failed Nigeria as part and parcel of the leadership of Nigeria since 1999. So what is the way forward? And what is the way forward is to start in this way. They must look at discipline. How can they discipline themselves to bring about transparency and accountability in governance? And that's why we talk about cost of governance. And we talk about looking at it from the top to the bottom, not looking at it from the bottom to the top. Now, the first thing among them is, if they want to campaign with electricity, the question will be asking them, how will you be able to tackle electricity challenge? Because if you say you want to tackle electricity challenge, and people are saying importing generator, how will you tackle people importing generator? How can you make sure that people importing generator, like one of my friends normally said, you cannot scare them away from doing their business, but how can you partner with them? That you have been spending money to bring importation of generator. How can you become more patriotic and bring your money into electricity generation, like what is happening now that the union are talking about renationalization of transmission company of Nigeria. So how can those people who are importing generator partner with the government and build electricity generating plant? This is of importing. That's number one. So if they have to campaign on electricity, they must look at how to bring this to an end, either importing of generator or working with people who are importing of generator. If you want to campaign with Forex, how to bring down, make Naira to be more stronger, then you must talk about
the present administration, they also campaign, sorry to chip that in, about reducing
Naira to
exchange.
Exactly. But they forget to ask critical questions and put critical questions.
Market forces come into play.
To CBN. I've always said this on any time I have opportunity to feature on any media. Ask anybody, ask CBN, how much is CBN making on every dollar that is selling? I don't know whether it's a critical question. It's only political economists like us that can answer that question. If I have the opportunity to sit one-on-one with CBN governor, sir, how much are you making? How much is the profit of CBN on every dollar that you are selling 420 naira? They will not answer you. You know why? The first question is this: CBN is only one printing dollar. CBN rely on 5 sources to gain dollar. 1, our PMS sales, crude oil with gold dollar. 2, our brothers and sisters that are abroad are selling dollar to us. Stock exchange. People bring money to go and invest in stock exchange from abroad. Then the 4th one is when government collect loans from foreign countries or from they give us in dollar. Those are the ways CBN make money. Then the last one is the way CBN make money also through other forex not just dollar alone, other forex things that people bring into the country. These are the 5 ways. Now, out of these 5 ways, how much is CBN spending to carry out these activities? That is selling $1 for 420 naira. They just fix the price. That's why some of us will tell you it's not anything about supply and demand. It's about the authority trying to make money from forexes. But what CBN will claim is this, that we are not exporting enough, and that's why we don't have enough dollar. If we are exporting enough outside Nigeria, we'll bring more dollar,
Yeah,
which we all of us agree.
Yes.
But in the last 2 years, the CBN
But-
have been trying to upgrade their
Changing
skills,
flow.
you understand, to make sure that it works. But the critical question is, how come 420 naira? Why is it that IMF will tell us to devalue our currency? And they'll tell us the percentage to devalue it. How come we have two markets, parallel market and official market? Why don't we have one harmonized market? Because there are loopholes, and the current government does not understand monetary politics or monetary economy. If there's someone who is very stringent, who understands monetary economy, naira will not be chasing dollar for 420 naira. It won't. But because they don't have people who guide them and help them to do it. But we not also forget or rule out the business around this round tripping of the naira dollar issue, because it's all about business. Certain people are making money. Just get $10 million into your account now today. In the next 2 weeks, it will turn to some billions of naira. As a result of what? People are making money from it. It is that making money from it the government is afraid to tackle, and nobody can tackle it except a sincere government that is ready to do it. As he said, he will do it. And that's what we have found ourselves in. So the next government that is coming must be able to put in place a CBN governor or a CBN management that understand, that are very patriotic, that want to discipline people who are going to illegal forex sales or illegal forex profit sharing. Because as it stands today, a lot of people are making money from illegal forex sales.
Wow, that is serious. So, viewers, we are going on the break. Sorry, we would have done that since we were just discussing and carried away on our program preparations for 2023 elections. We are going on a short break. When we come back, we'll just take a look at the leading story of today's major newspapers. Don't go away, stay tuned.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
Welcome back. This is Inside Nigeria, reaching you on Leadership Television. With me in the studio has been Adefolari Olamilekon. He's a public affairs analyst and also a political economist. Thank you so much once again.
Thanks for
for
having
your
me.
presence here today. Yes, we've been discussing on 2023 and the elections campaign that is about to flag off September this month on the 28th. Well, we are going to just take a look at some of the major headline news stories on today's papers, and talking about the death of Queen Elizabeth. By Elizabeth, Leadership Friday has on its cover. After 70 years on the throne, Britain's longest serving monarch dies at 96. The death of the Queen took many by surprise yesterday. Initially, we were told that it was under close observation at Baltimore. At the end of the day, we were told the son, who automatically becomes the king, announced that it's Prince Charles, King Charles now, and announced that his mom has passed away. So, what's your view, and how will you relate it to maybe her life?
I think if relating to our lives, to look back to colonialism how
Yeah.
colonialism
Like
started
a
and
former football star just said, the blacks and brown skin people shouldn't mourn her. I think it was under the bed that she supervised the racism.
ended.
in
Although,
Bahrain.
although you won't blame people who are agitating or who are against her, who are trying to say, okay, don't do this, and she has passed away. But the key thing is that in Africa we don't castigate the dead. We still respect them even though they are no more. But the works that they did is what keep people agitating like that. But for me, I just see it's an opportunity for people to think twice about their life. Though you can't, nothing lasts long. Yet nothing lasts long as on earth, try as much as possible to impact people positively. I think it's that negative side of how our life impacted people is why people are saying that don't do this, don't do that. But on the other side, we should also look at it from the point that, okay, even though negatively it is there, we also know that it's also rule to impact our own people in a way that many joins of people that are even complaining about our debt now or about no money now, stay abroad. You understand? Most of them are enjoying the freedom that people like us established in our own kingdom and the rest of them. But the major thing for us is that colonizing was part and parcel of what she inherited from her parents and her kingdom. And she also fulfilled it in a way that at the end of the African gets independent. But the key thing remains that we can't continue to relate to colonialism. We have to move forward. And that's why the 2023 election is for us to move forward and think of how we can make our life more better. And as it is.
Thank you so much, very much. Adefolarin Lamilekon. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you on the program. Well, viewers, this is what we call it today. Call it a day on today's Inside Nigeria. I hope you were enlightened and educated with our guest inside today. I remain Winifred Webo. Looking forward to having you on the program, same time, same station next week. And do have a beautiful weekend. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.